Hi, I'm John and welcome to the Jigsaw Puzzler. Today's puzzle is the third of the Bepuzzled mystery puzzles that I have in my collection, Alfred Hitchcock. You might remember quite some time ago I started my first Bepuzzled jigsaw mystery with the Orient Express. Then I followed it up with Agatha Christie's Mystery of the Royal Ruby. And now the third one that I own, which was a Christmas gift from my puzzle partner, called Alfred Hitchcock. I was given this puzzle as a gift because I enjoyed the movies of Alfred Hitchcock. I have this Alfred Hitchcock puzzle plus the Heyer Alfred Hitchcock movie director's puzzle. So this was right up my alley and I was very pleased to receive it as a Christmas present. As with all the Bepuzzled puzzles, they come with a short story and a puzzle with no image on the box. You have no idea what it is that you are building. Just a word of warning about this video. It will contain spoilers, but the spoilers are going to be limited to pictures, photographs, and descriptions of the puzzle itself, not of the solution to the story. All right, it's one of 8 in the series, and it's a thoroughly enjoyable way to puzzle. So when you open up the box, there is inside it a bag of puzzle pieces and a short story with a mystery in it. The mystery needs solving, so you read the story up to a certain point, in fact up to I think about page 10, so it's a 10-page story, and then you break the story there and do the puzzle and try to solve the mystery that's in the puzzle. And then it does give you the solution at the end, but in reverse, so that you have to use a mirror or take a photograph with your phone and flip the image to be able to read it. All right, this mystery centers around 4 characters. There is a detective and 4 other characters. There is a missing psychiatrist whose name is Mitch Daniels. And Mitch Daniels is a portmanteau name based on Mitch Brenner and Melanie Daniels, who are the 2 main characters from Alfred Hitchcock's film, The Birds. It does reference Bodega Bay in California, where most of The Birds film takes place. Then there are 3 other characters, each of whom are interviewed about the disappearance of the psychiatrist. The first is Grace Fremont. That's also a portmanteau name of the actress Grace Kelly, who played Lisa Fremont, her character in Rear Window. The second character is Tony Bates, which is Anthony Perkins, and Norman Bates. So Tony Perkins, the real-life actor, played the character Norman Bates in Hitchcock's Psycho. The third one is Scotty Stewart. So Scotty Ferguson was the character, played by Jimmy Stewart in the Hitchcock film Vertigo. So we have 4 characters, all of whose names are a combination of Hitchcock characters and the actors that played them. So each of the characters is a suspect in the disappearance and or murder of the psychiatrist, Mitch Daniels. So you read through the story, you get the clues from the story, from the interviews with each of the characters, the 3 characters, the 3 suspects. The first character that is interviewed is Grace Fremont, and according to the story, she has a sort of obsession with Alfred Hitchcock's film The Birds, and in particular the character of Tippi Hedren, the actress Tippi Hedren, who plays Melanie Daniels. Secondly, the interview with Tony Bates. He appears to have a kind of obsession with Alfred Hitchcock's film Psycho, unsurprisingly really, given that it's Norman Bates and Anthony Perkins. And the third character, Scotty Stewart, even though that references Vertigo, his obsession, Hitchcock obsession, is frenzy. So there are a number of references through the story and through the picture to the films, a handful of films by Alfred Hitchcock. Alfred Hitchcock made, I think, about 52 films, so not all of them are clearly going to be referenced, and some of them are not as well known as others. So then we do the puzzle, we read the story, we do the puzzle, and then figure out the clues from the book and the puzzle to solve the crime. So when I opened the puzzle, so let me talk about the quality first, then I'll take us a tour around the image, and then I'll talk about how I went about solving this, because this does not come with a reference picture at all. Quality-wise, relatively thick pieces. Some of them fit together quite tightly. It's not particularly loose. It is a glossy finish puzzle, making it difficult with the lighting. Fairly thick pieces. I can pick it up and move it. At one point, if you look at the time lapse, towards the end I've got the top part left, and rather than reaching over and hurting my back, I just pick up the whole puzzle, turn it around and put it back down again, even with the gap in the top unfilled, and do it upside down, then turn the whole thing back around right way up. So it was good in that regard. You could do sections outside the box. You could do sections anywhere you like and just pick them up and move them. And that's really helpful in a puzzle like this, where you've got no picture, you have no idea what it is you're building to begin with, and then where in the image it's going to go. So whatever you do, you're going to have to move things from one place to another, and often in slabs or sections. So the fact that it holds together so well is a real advantage here. The picture itself is just full of clues. It's not actually the world's most stimulating jigsaw puzzle picture. If you were given this, if the picture appeared on the box and you're walking through a store or saw it on the shelf, chances are you might not pick this one up because it just isn't the most visually appealing puzzle. That being said, it is designed to connect with the story. It has a different purpose than a normal jigsaw puzzle. So just a tour around the puzzle to begin with. Top right hand corner, we have the words Alfred Hitchcock and his signature profile, stylized profile that went with many of his works. I'm assuming this was licensed by the estate of Alfred Hitchcock, otherwise they simply wouldn't have been able to get away with it. So that logo appears up in the corner. Really easy to find those pieces. Then working our way down, we have a yellow oar from a boat, a rowing boat. We have a shower curtain that says Bates Motel on it with some shower curtain rings still in it. There is some yellow rope. There is a sack of potatoes with some lead weights in it. There's a wig, a grey-haired female wig. There is a necktie, a knife, all sitting on a leather upholstered couch. There is a golden bird cage with 2 canaries in it, and 2 seagulls here, and a fish, a pinkish red coloured fish wrapped in paper. All of that on top of a highly patterned carpet. Oh, there's 2 books as well. The birds are standing on books or wooden blocks. Bit hard to tell. Yeah, maybe wooden blocks. Yeah. So that's the description of the picture. It's quite unusual. There's some blood on the oar and the word Hitchcock written on the end of the oar. The potatoes have some branding on them and some words. They are of no importance at all to the story. It's just to show that that is a sack of potatoes. So each of these clues represents or refers to something from one of the 3 movies that the characters have an obsession with. That is The Birds, Psycho, or Frenzy. First, The Birds. So the character Melanie Daniels buys a pair of lovebirds in a cage right at the start of The Birds. She goes into a pet shop, or in fact it's a bird shop, and purchases the birds. So that's a reference here to those. In another scene of The Birds, she is seen rowing a boat out across Bodega Bay, and that's the oar is a reference to Bodega Bay and that part of the movie. Psycho, well, we have a number of references here. Oh, sorry, the other reference to the birds is the seagulls. Okay, the 2 seagulls here. One of them comes down as Melanie is rowing the boat. She actually gets swooped and attacked by seagulls. That's how the attacks of the birds really begin, and it is quite disturbing and disconcerting for her character. So they are the seagulls, the lovebirds, and the oar. So with Psycho, we have 2 or 3 main elements again for Psycho here. We have the shower curtain from the infamous shower scene where the main character is brutally murdered in a hotel room at the Bates Motel. She is stabbed to death, so this kitchen knife here really looks like the sort of knife that Norman Bates used to murder her. And then the wig of Norman's mother, so without giving too much away, but I guess it's been around so long everybody knows how it goes. Norman has adopted the personality of his long deceased mother in a kind of a strange psychiatric condition, and when he is acting as mother, he wears this silver grey wig and her clothes. So there are some definite references to Psycho here. The birds standing on blocks, though, that makes me think that they might be taxidermied birds. And Norman, in the office at the Bates Motel, he does taxidermy as a hobby, and there are taxidermied animals and birds in the office. So that's kind of an overlap clue there. Frenzy. It's been a long time since I've watched Frenzy, so I'm a bit unclear about the narrative for that one, but I do know that the necktie was a key part of, that was the murder weapon in Frenzy, and the bag of potatoes is a clue from Frenzy as well. So we have all of these clues. We don't yet know how they fit together to solve the puzzle of the story. So it is a bit ambiguous about, if you had the story and the puzzle, it's still a lot of guesswork as to what means what and how things go with the book. The one thing on the puzzle I haven't talked about is this fish down the bottom here. This is in fact a red herring. It means nothing. It's not a reference to any Hitchcock film, any Hitchcock character, incident, anything at all, plot element. It is literally a red herring. It may not be a herring. I'm not a fish expert at all, but it references the phrase red herring as a deceptive clue. It means nothing. So that's how the puzzle fits together with the story. But it is a bit disappointing. I was saying that when you get all the clues here and the clues in the story, they don't necessarily entwine quite as neatly as perhaps the designer of the puzzle intended. It's not as straightforward to piece together what happened with these clues in order to solve the disappearance of the psychiatrist. You do really have to look at the answer in the back, and of course it becomes obvious once you read that. But it adds to the story. It certainly enhances the story. It certainly gives you more to think about than what the story has given us, but it doesn't help us. I don't think it's a really terribly convenient way of solving the puzzle, solving the crime, but solving the puzzle. It's pretty satisfying. All right, so the story itself is pretty rubbish, to be honest. I don't know who writes these things, but this is just pretty rubbish. The Orient Express story from the other Bepuzzled story, it was pretty rubbish too, as a kind of mash-up of Hercule Poirot and Miss Marple. Whereas the Agatha Christie one, that had a genuine Agatha Christie short story in it as the book, and that was a lot more authentic, a lot better writing. However, this one, the Alfred Hitchcock one, is not going to win any literary prizes at all. But it's a bit of fun. Mustn't write it off simply because it's not literary enough. It is a bit of fun, but it's pretty trite. Puzzle though. Doing a puzzle without a reference picture. I know lots of people do puzzles without reference to the box, but when you pick up the box, you see the picture and you do have an idea of the shapes, the colours, what the image actually is, and where things are in proximity to each other. Even if you don't study it in detail, you have some idea what it is you're going to be looking at. With these puzzles, you have no idea what you're going to be looking at. There are no indicators on the box of what the final image looks like. So you really are flying blind when it comes to putting the puzzle together. So how did I tackle this one? I made a number of piles on my board here. I put all of the pieces into the sorting trays. I did a full flip, and I did a bigger sort, a more thorough sort than I normally would do for a puzzle. I don't usually sort very thoroughly because I like to just get into the puzzle and start it. But this one, I felt that I had to do more than that and put out different piles for different colours and textures, the most obvious ones. The first thing that I pulled out was the yellow for this oar. That's just a pop of colour that just stands out completely. So I had the yellow of the oar and also the yellow of the rope. I put those near each other because they were just the yellow piles. The second thing I had was the writing on this potato sack. Now, I didn't know it was a potato sack, but it was obviously a piece of paper of some sort with writing on it. So I made a pile of that. I made a pile of all the white pieces. Didn't know what that was going to turn out to be, but I needed them out of the box so that I could find other things that I was looking for and not just concentrate on all the white pieces. I pulled out all of these golden striped pieces. Now, I had no idea that this was going to form a bird cage at the time, but it became obvious, the more of it I did, that that's what it was. So, but I did find all the metal stripes, the gold metal stripy bits, all the way down to the bottom here, with whatever background, and put those in a pile. I had a pile of feathers, turned out to be these two birds here. I had a pile of hair, which obviously turned out to be the wig. And then there was this greyish, sort of timber grain look pattern. Now, I had no idea what this was, with some pink elements on it, and that turned out to be the tie. But pulling the pieces out, there was nothing about it that told me what that was. In fact, none of the things indicated what they actually were, apart from the feathers perhaps indicating birds. That's all I really had. I had some pink blush pieces here. Didn't even know that that would turn into a fish. And then I pulled out all the edge pieces as well. So I had, if you watch the time lapse, you'll see I had quite a number of piles of things around the puzzle. I didn't start with the edge. I just didn't want to do that. I wanted to start with various parts of the puzzle and see what joined on to next to this, to that, to something else. I started with the yellow. It was pretty obvious. I did this part of the oar, and I had this little bit, and then I did sections of rope. I had little bits of rope. I didn't know how they went together, but had those, as many of them as I could join together in a sequence, all to one side. I started on the bird cage. Now, I did this upside down. Didn't know it was a bird cage, didn't know what it was really, but I could see there was a central point and that it radiated out like spokes. So I ended up building that upside down, unbeknownst to myself. And when I turned it around, these two birds, the two canaries in here, which were not the lovebirds that Melanie Daniels ordered, that made it so clear that it was a bird cage. So I put that together, and that and that. So I had a couple of bits. I then moved on to the feathers, which kind of joined onto the edge of the cage here. I thought actually there was only going to be one bird, but there turned out to be two, because there were some feathers on this one that I couldn't fit onto that. And I thought, I was getting a bit frustrated, but it turned out there were two birds. Then I could tell that there was a couch, or the edge of an armchair. I didn't know it was a full couch like this. I thought it might have been a single chair, because I could see the rivets, the brass rivets that held the leather down the edge of the arms, and then there was a line of them down the edge of the seat. I managed to pull out those as a pile and just piece together as many of those as I could to create this line. Still wasn't joined on with it. Like, there's still a lot of pieces that are just random, but I got the yellow here for this oar, and the bottom of this here, the couch, hit the edges. There were some feathers on the edge that I got to there, so it started to hit the edges so that I felt like I could start to put bits of the edge together, but that really waited until much later in the piece. I put all of the hairy bits together to make the wig, and then I could see that there was some yellow rope adjacent to the wig, so I could join some of the yellow rope pieces on there, and that was adjacent to this potato sack here with lots of yellow rope on it, and I started to build this section through here, and it had all of this white edge with the oar, so I felt that I could get the white pieces and start to build what turned out to be the shower curtain from the Bates Motel. So I did do the whole white section. That did take a little bit of time. There are some fold lines in the curtain. There's some slight variations in colour to help piece that together, but it wasn't perhaps as easy as you might have thought. Worked on the couch, the front here, especially with this glossy, shiny bit here, and it became clear that the knife was over here so that I could find that, and then just simply worked my way through, but finally picked out all these brownish coloured bits and worked out that they were potatoes. I mean, this is the first jigsaw puzzle I've ever done that's kind of featured potatoes in the centre of it, but there you go. So the potatoes and the weights joined onto there and onto the wig, so I ended up with this large section through here, did the necktie as best I could, especially this bright bit here, some of these other bits. The birds, I did piece the fish head together, and then I thought, well, the edge has got to come. I was running out of space to kind of move things around, and I had all the edges over here, so I started piecing them together, and just to create like the carpet edge here, the dark edge at the bottom. I think I probably did the top edge last, because it's a lot browner in colour, less distinct patterning in the carpet. So, and then it was a matter of filling in the blanks, filling in the reddish coloured pieces here for the inside of the arm of the chair, some of the shinier pieces for the back of the chair over here, the different shades of carpet. So some sections through here are quite bright, others down here are also a little bit bright, a bit redder, up here quite brown. So just fill in as many of those gaps as I could until I was left really with the carpet at the top. That was the last bit that I did. At which point I picked up the whole puzzle, turned it around and did it upside down, then picked it up and turned it back. And hey presto, one puzzle with all these very strange elements on it. So yeah, I'm not going to talk about how these help to solve the story. I'm not going to give you that as a giveaway, as a spoiler for the story. You've got the puzzle, you haven't got the story, so you don't have the full picture as it were. So if you happen to have this puzzle, you might be able to look at this as a bit of a reference picture, but then still enjoy piecing it together and working out the solution to the story. These are fun. They are fun to do, even if the stories are completely trite. Trying to put a puzzle together without any idea of what the image is going to be is actually a pretty cool challenge, and I enjoyed it. I don't know if I would do too many more of them. I've got the 3, I've done the 3, did enjoy it. Not exactly my preferred type of puzzle, but hey, these were pretty enjoyable on the whole. So we are going to have a time lapse. If you'd like to click like and subscribe and share my channel with your other puzzling friends, that would be great. So if you'd like to make some comments below about this puzzle, about the Bepuzzled series, about mystery puzzles, about whether you do puzzles without reference to the box at all, that'd be a pretty interesting conversation to open up. So on with the time lapse, and thank you for watching.